Hi guys. We are waiting for Aditya to join us.
Yeah.
Hi
Hi.
Aditya, how are you?
Hi,
How
all good. How are you?
I am good. And we'll just start our questions with some basic ones. Like
Sure.
I want you to introduce to everyone.
Sure. So, hello, good evening, everyone. Hope you guys are staying safe, taking care of yourself. So, my name is Aditya Arora, popularly known as the Fard guy on Instagram, because I had a company called Fard, which is an early stage investor network. So, primarily, what we do is we invest in startups. So, yeah, I head the investor network. I myself invest in startups. And I started my journey very young. I started my first venture when I was 15. And right from till about 23 right now, I've changed multiple ventures. So at current state, I'm helping startups financially and also, uh, yeah, I'm a fun to be guy with. So there are two F's in my life. One is finance and the other is fun. So of course, I've been a stand-up comic. So yeah, that's in brief about me.
Great. So how did you started as an angel investor? Like how did you find out that you want to be an angel investor?
Sure. So Ashnaf, my personal journey with FAD exactly started in somewhere around 2016. So at that point of time, what we were doing is that we were trying to be a one-stop shop for startup. So as you know, a business requires everything to grow, right? From
Hmm.
content to marketing to branding to finance. So we were like a one-stop shop providing all of that. So I did that for about 2 years. My primarily job was to interview people, was to learn more about their story, to have a conversation like the one we are doing right now. And that I did for about 2 years. But then what we thought was that in India, business required plenty of things, right? So they require not just expertise in one thing; they require assistance in so many other things. So that's why you as an organization you can't provide every skill, right? You have to be focused on one aspect in which you have a mastery of. So we picked up finance, and we already had a network. We did almost about 60 events in different parts of India. We did road shows. We visited all parts of the country. We met various entrepreneurs. We met so many investors. So we had that base, and then we started investing in startups. So what we used to do is we had investors, and then we had startups. So through startups, through investors, you would want to put in their capital in startups, right? And we were facilitating all of that, like a investment banker of sort. So yeah, that's what we did. And last year is when we realized that now we have made some money. I exited my previous ventures and I made some money out of it. So then we realized that let's now start investing in startups, right? And let's
Hmm.
educate India more on what are startups, what is startup investing, and why is it required. So that's when we are creating a healthy mix of angel investors. And last year, if I talk about, has been crazy. We've added almost 500 plus investors to our network, and we've invested in about 23 companies in the past 7 months. So yeah, it's been very
That's
crazy.
really great. So the next question would be, how do you evaluate a startup? Like, suppose if you want to invest in some startup or if you want to fund some startup, how do you validate? What are your
Great.
top points?
So the I guess out of all the asset classes that I've tried to value in my life, startup is the most difficult, easily hands on the most difficult instrument because it is an unlisted company, right? It is an unlisted
Hmm.
company with no history, with no track record, right? So let's say you go to index funds, you have a index history to look at how that index has performed, how the individual companies in those indexes have performed. You have a balance sheet, you have so many things to look at. But in startups, technically there is nothing, right? There is no history. Company has just come out, right? So what we'd want to look at is what kind of burn is that company making, right? So that's how we look at initial stages. A company does not involve a lot of revenue, right? So what would we want to look at is what kind of cash they are taking out of the system, and what kind of revenues can it generate, right? So we look at that potential, that how a startup can exactly go towards that. And that also
Okay.
depends on industry to industry, right? Every industry has a different growth potential, right? So what we tend to look at is, if they are, let's say, in one particular industry, let's say tech, what's the kind of growth that their competitors are experiencing? What's the kind of growth that companies in their particular stages are experiencing? And more than that, the last but the foremost important thing is we look at the value of founders. So primarily we are not valuing the company, but we are valuing the founders. So we look at how, what kind of mindset they have, what's been their prior background, their prior experience of running this company, and what's their pedigree. So that's is something that we take bet on and we try to value.
Okay. So, I have heard that, if a company has a co-founder, it is much better to get funded. So, is it actually true?
Yes. So, yeah, that's advisable, because see, you as a person, you can't know everything in business, right? Let's say you are an expert in finance, someone is an expert in technology, right? So you would need, that person would need you to give you the fundamentals of, to give you the fundamentals of finance, and you would need that person to create that whole technology platform for the company, right? So we need all the people to check all the boxes in a company, and also to get a different perspective as well, right? So when you are looking at your venture, you have just one perspective which is on table, right?
Hmm.
Which may or may not be right sometimes. So what you would want to look at is that someone else give you that perspective as well, and can tell you whether this company can go ahead or not, and can add value beyond what you are adding. So add complementary people, right, who can complement that, and that's how it's advisable to build a strong team and go ahead.
Great. So, is there any specific industry that you fund, or you overall look to each and every industry, and if that company is doing good, you start investing or funding?
So, for FAD, we are sector agnostic. So that means that we look at each and every sector with equal relevance and with equal focus, right? So even if it's edtech, we look at edtech with some equal focus. Even if it's, let's say, gaming, we look at gaming with equal focus. So for us, it's
Hmm.
not about going very deep in sector, because we have people who we have such a wide network that we have people from each and every sector in our network. So we tend to look at all the sectors, but in the 7 months, in the last 7 months, we haven't looked more at hospitality. We haven't looked more at physical sports. We haven't looked at companies which have adversely been affected by COVID, and that's a conscious strategy that we have tried to adopt. Because of course, whenever the markets open up, that's when we'll try to open up our floodgates as well. So for us, it's about picking up the sectors which are in trend right now, and then picking up the companies which are driving that trend, right? That early stages of trend, and who have that potential to drive that trend. So that is what we look at, and we bring to the investor network for fundraising. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So, since I am working in a startup, so I have, came across these few terms called pre-money valuation and post-money valuation. So, I mean, can you explain me like what are these terms, and go further?
Sure. So it's if you try to understand the English of it, right? Pre-money
Hmm.
and post-money. So that this means that we are valuing company at 2 points of time. One is before getting the money at hand, right? And one is after you've got that money at hand. Let's say you come to me and you say that I require funding, right? And within that value, I require, let's say I have a value of 10 rupees. I have 10 rupees with me now. Aditya, give me 5 rupees more, right? So your net worth or your value at this point of time is just 10 rupees, which is there in your hands, right? And let's say if I give you 5 rupees, then the total
Hmm.
amount of money you'll have at the end of the day would not be 10, would be 15, right? 10 plus 5. So pre-money valuation would be what you came to me, right? With what you came to me, what value did you have? You had 10 rupees. That's your pre-money valuation. Whenever you go to an investor and put a value of your company before he or she puts a value to you, that's your pre-money valuation. Once that investor
Okay.
has given the money to you, that money has hit your bank and has come into your company's account. that's when it becomes a post money valuation, right? So it becomes from 10, it becomes 15. So that's the fundamental difference, nothing more than that. It's just an addition subtraction difference.
Okay, okay, okay. So, what are your views on, young entrepreneurs who are, uh, constantly working on their startups, and what would be your advice for them? Like, what should they do to make the startup even more better?
Sure. Uh, I guess India is a brewing land of young entrepreneurs, right, guys? When I started my journey, when I was 15, right, I did not see a lot of young people coming into the field. Everyone looked at me with a very googly eyed, right? That what is this kid doing here, right? Are you skipping your classes? Are you not doing your assignments? Why are you coming here? But now I see the scenario a bit different, and there's a whole lot of cultural change around entrepreneurship as well, right? People look at entrepreneurship from a very different lens from what they look at conventional career options. So uh, uh, so that trend is going, because now we have some success stories of startups, right? We have Oyos of the world, we have Baijus of the world, we have Paytms of the world, who've gone ahead and got a multi-billion dollar valuation of essentially ruling the world right now. So now we have success stories. People understand startups. So that trend is coming, is changing. But yes, in India particularly, we'll still have a long way before we see more entrepreneurs. But trust me, Ashna, when I tell you this, we have some amazing talent. Of course, we have the best of the talent in the world. But just that talent needs to come out of that mindset that entrepreneurship is very risky, right? They need to embrace and take some risk in life. And if they do, there's an actual value add that is there. And that's what I say in all of my sessions as well, right? That most of us just go for a career choice because it's safe without even trying the other one out, right? So that's not true. When we go to buy garments in a shop, we just don't buy from the first shop, right? We literally go through the entire 4 or 5 different shops, try everything, and we just take it out. So consider a piece of garment which will worn out in probably the next couple of years, right? That is something in which you probably visit 6 and 7 shops and you do good amount of bargaining on it, right? But this is something about your career, right? And in career, we don't even try to speak, right? Whatever is there in front of us, we just try to accept it as it comes. And this is career which will stay with you for forever in your life. So at least you should try and experiment, because something can land you up nowhere. I never wanted to become an entrepreneur. I'm probably the first one in my family who's into startups, from my distant family. Everyone from my family is a
Oh,
teacher or a government servant, right? No one
oh,
understands
that's
business.
that's great.
So no one understands business. But I took that risk, and maybe I'm here for a reason, because I always wanted to be in this field. So take some risk, and there's this all in there's this. I guess I'm trying to make it a bit long, but this thing is very true that there is entrepreneur in all of us, right? We've tried to become creative sometimes. We've tried to solve problems in the most creative way, right? If you don't know the
Yes,
answer, we've tried to copy it as well from sometimes. So there's one entrepreneur in all of us, but just that it needs to come out in the right manner, in the right way.
exactly. So, if someone wants to become an angel investor, so what are the criteria that they should look for?
God, this is the most funniest question at the same time. As in, people have literally asked me that question, and I've said that this is not your CAT examination, right? Where you go out and you do an entrance test and you become an angel investor. Guys, see, angel investor looks up like, I know it sounds a very fascinating term, right? But trust you me, angel investor, I'll clear your doubt, right? This question comes most of the times, that why angel investors are called angels, right? Are they special people? Are they a rare breed? There's nothing special about angel investors. Angel investors are just those people who turn around struggling companies, companies which are struggling, companies with niche capital. They just turn around those companies. That's why they're called angels. So anyone can be an angel investor who can add value to the company, right? Who can not just invest, but also do value investing, wherein they bring a value along with the capital that they're investing. So that is someone who's an angel investor who knows businesses and can help business in their own way. So let's say you, Ashna, you're an expert in finance. So if you have capital, you're also an angel investor, because you can help the startup in terms of growth, understanding more about finance, in terms of understanding more about concepts, right? Of course, we all become better investors once we take more risk and start investing. So yeah, but yes, that is someone who's an angel investor. And for you to become an angel investor, it's as simple as, of course, there are two ways, right? Either you can start your own enterprise, go through it, make money in it, and then start angel investing, wherein you are putting your amount directly. Or there's a second way wherein you can have a group of people alongside. So let's say I have a capacity of not giving more than 5 lakhs, but the
Hmm.
startup that I need to invest in, I need to invest 25 lakhs in that. So what would I do in that case scenario? I would bring 4 or 5 of my friends, and together we'll create a syndicate or a pool of investment. And with that pool, we'll invest in that startup, right? Because that's how we that or there's this way wherein you have a group of friends, you create a pool, and you start investing. That's what we are doing at FAR, right? Our ticket sizes are very low of our personal sizes, but the amount that we are investing in, we are investing anywhere from 50 lakhs to about 3.5 crores. And how we are doing that
Hmm.
is creating that pool and getting those people who can add value into the company. So that's one
Hmm.
of the ways in which you can become an investor. Or the second way is you earn through your life, you get the income that you have in hand and start investing in startups directly, right? Or there's a third way which a lot of people don't talk about, is that in India, equity crowdfunding is illegal, right?
Hmm.
You can't raise equities by taking money from the people. If it's not an IPO, right? In IPO, you can of course raise you can take money from the people, right? But before an IPO in India, you can't take money from people. It's illegal in in countries outside India, United States, Singapore, this is all legal, right? Most of the companies
Okay.
raise money by registering themselves in Singapore like this.
Hmm.
So you can log on to some of these platforms. I'll even name some of them. It's called Republic. There is Seed Invest. There is VFunder. There is so many of these platforms. You can log on to the platform and you can start investing as low as 7,000 rupees in companies, right? So that's where you can
Hmm.
also try and do angel investing. But again, the risk is that the companies are outside. So you'll have to understand all of it before becoming an angel investor. It's not just blind capital. Startups give you 90% of the chances that your investment is going to fail, right? So 10%, of course, you have an outside chance. So have that knowledge and then start investing. There are multiple different ways of you becoming an angel investor.
Great. Okay, so I have received a lot of questions of people asking me that, my startup is not getting funded. How do people get funded? I mean, there are a lot of people asking me that they have a startup and would you please pitch him to fund my company and all of that. So, I mean, just tell them like how to get funded and, you know, what's the main what's the main thing that they should look if they are not getting funded.
Got it. Got it. So guys, see, with respect to funding, there are different aspects on which you can get funded, right? And I like to call them the 6 T's of investing. I'll try to make it as easy as I can, right? So the first T that I talk about is called team, right? As I said, team is the first most important factor. So what you have to do is you have to build a strong team, people who understand and can add value, and who are like-minded people alongside you, right? You have to build the right set of guys. You have to get those guys into the company. That's one thing. The second T of investing is what we call traction, right? Wherein whatever your startup is doing, right? What's the performance of that company? How much basically how much kind what are the customers that they have, what is the revenue that's there, what's the, if let's say it's an app, right, it's an application, what sort of how many people are using it, how many people are active on your app, how many people are falling out on your app, they are uninstalling your app. You need to track all of these metrics, right? See what kind of profitability are you moving towards, right? So traction is a summary of all of that, what kind of performance and milestones you are hitting. The third T is called technology, right? As you know, post COVID, digital adoption has accelerated like anything, right? We said India will become, or the world will become, a fully digital economy in the next 5 years. I guess that's streamlined to the next 2.5 years, right? Because the pace we are in adopting technology, right? I guess it's going to go up first. Just look at one simple thing, right? No one thought that traditional schools or government schools would start teaching children at their homes by the advent of technology, right? And marriages would happen over technology. A lot of things are happening over technology. So yeah, focus on building the right sort of technology. It does not always have to be like a sophisticated coded platform. It has to be a simple technology which solves a real value add, as simple as an Instagram live, right? Which is solving a value add in terms of connecting us all, right? So build a simple technology. The fourth aspect of T here is called target market, right? Which is again very critical. What is your product? Define the target market for it, right? So let's say I talk about chips, right? Chips is a segment which probably everyone have, each all of us have, right from a childhood to someone who's in adults. Probably the people who get in the senior citizen category, they don't have it as much as they can, but a lot of like a very broad range of group has it, right? So you need to define, let's say you're coming out with chips, what sort of chips are you coming out with, right? What would be the flavors, and would you target, will it be a fast moving segment, right? Or will it be a, let's say, a very unhealthy segment, right? Very junky segment, right? So you have Snack Light by Haldiram, you have Lay's by Frito Lay's, right? Both are chips. Both are very different kind of chips, right? You associate Snack Light with with a bit healthier option, but you don't associate Lay's with at all healthy, right? So you need to understand what sort of target markets are you targeting, right? Is it the healthy segment? Is it the young segment? Or is it the middle age segment? The last one of the last T's of investing is called terms, right? This is what Ashna, you asked about, right? What's your valuation, right? What kind of valuation are you putting to your company? Is it fair? Is it justified, right? You can't just open up a startup today and say next day that my valuation is $100 billion, right? On Excel, on financial sheets, everything can be proven in this world, right? It also can be proven that your company is the next Tesla, but in actuality, when it comes to execution, you have to justify it. And investors are very smart people, guys. They look at such startups, they look at your stories, and they look at 20 or 30s of them on a daily basis. So you need to understand that what kind of valuation is something that I'll be interested in. Because let's say in the same example, Ashna had 15 rupees. Let's say I gave her 5 rupees. So my equity, my stake in Ashna's company would be 33.3%, right? Which would be 5 by 15 into 100. But let's say I wanted 60%, right? I wanted a higher percentage because I thought I would add value. So you need to also understand from an investor perspective that what kind of equity will he or she be comfortable in, right? According to the efforts. So that is also something that you probably need to look at. So team, traction, technology, target market, terms, and the last T is called 10x potential, right? So let's say in that same example, Ashna said, and she came with 15 rupees. Now, when I'm investing in Ashna, and this is a simple concept of equity appreciation, I will only double or triple my money when Ashna's value grows from 15 to 45 or 15 to 60, right? If it does not grow from 15 to 60, then I am not making any returns on my investment, right? So I need to understand that if you can grow 10x on that, right? If you can grow 10x on your potential, that's a very very critical segment. And just a bonus here, the reason I put it 10x, the reason we call it 10x, there's a very strategic value to it, because equity is the costliest form of asset, and the taxation on equity is also the costliest. So even after 10x, the effective returns that I'm making is 6x or 7x after doing everything. So that's why you have to hit the higher number so that investor actually makes something and does not end up burning all of the capital in taxes, right? So that is the in the terms that you should be looking at. And yep, I guess you can reach out to me, of course, if you have anything to discuss. I'll be more than happy to help. Or maybe I'll request Ashna as well to save this live and probably post it so that you can re-go through this
Yes, yes.
concept again and understand it. Yeah.
So, okay, so I have this personal doubt, like, e-commerce is something which is very trending right now. So, post lockdown, do you think that e-commerce will fall, or, it will balance itself, or maybe have more entrepreneurs going on e-commerce website rather than traditional business?
See, e-commerce has people in India and investors. There is a rumor, right, that e-commerce has become saturated. We are not seeing new companies. Everyone is trying to be the next Amazon. Everyone is trying to like be an A to Z model where you can find from anything from pin to a plane, right? But e-commerce is more beyond that. E-commerce has solved the product. You can hear me, right, Ashna?
Yes, yes. Sorry,
Yeah,
I had that battery indication.
you can hear me now, right?
Yes, yes, completely.
Perfect. So what people think of e-commerce is just delivering service, right? E-commerce has solved a problem of listing all the products, of getting everything digitized. But e-commerce still hasn't solved the problem of last mile, right? You order a product in some tier 4 and tier 3 town, tier 5 town, you will not get the product before 7 days or 8 days. And trust me, I've done that myself personally, right? Because logistics in e-commerce is still a very, very big unsolved problem, right? So that is something that needs to be solved in India. E-commerce is still a very growing segment, and with this budget as well, I guess there is a relaxation, there is a push to e-commerce. So of course, I see that growing. And more than that, one thing that I have seen in particularly Ashna is the concept of vertical commerce in e-commerce. Now, what vertical commerce means is that you are the Amazon for just baby products, let's say, right? You are vertically spreading yourself across categories. So let's say I have to find a book. I would go on book reads and find it, right? So that's an example of vertical commerce, right? Or let's say I have to
Okay.
buy beauty. The best example is I have to buy beauty products. I go on Nika or I go on Cloutel and all these sites and go ahead and directly buy it. So focused on vertical commerce is also one of the biggest moves that we are seeing in companies like Nika, Cloudtail, and all these. Zivami. They're all a classic example of vertical commerce, which are growing like crazy in these times.
Okay, okay. So now we'll take some audience questions because they are asking that are you going to take the questions or not. Although I don't see any question related to startups, all of them are related to budget and all. Oh God. Okay. So there is this question, which government schemes help entrepreneurs? Is there any schemes?
Sure, sure, sure. Um, so maybe Ashna can also enable the Q&A section that we are taking Q&As right now, so people can ask in questions by the time we are answering them.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So your question is on how we can basically government schemes which are helping startups, right? So as you know, the apex government scheme of government of India was the Startup India, Stand Up India policy, which came in 2018, right? That was one of the remarkable schemes which helped startup to get recognition. It it for the first time in this entire history gave a definition to startups, that what exactly are startups and how they are different from other things. So it's something like startups also have had a Bitcoin story, right? A lot of people are talking about Bitcoin, right? So startups as well, the definition was not clear till 2018. So Startup India, Stand Up India, it actually gave definition to that, and it helped register startups, right? Till now, no one knew that how many startups are there in India. There's a startup
Hmm.
in every nook and town, right? But actually, how many are there and recognized by the government? How many are legally there as well, legally safe and sound as well? They're not creating bogus or shell companies. That no concept of that was there. But in 2018, when it came out, of course, that was one of the schemes where you can register your startup, you can get tax incentives, you can get rebates, you can get special SEZ, which are your special economic zones if you are in a manufacturing thing. So that was one of the schemes. The second, and you can also get loans in that. So you can get micro loans of up to 5 lakhs in a Startup India, Stand Up India policy. So people who are saying that they don't get funding from angel investors, there are plenty of options apart from angel investors as well, through which you can raise capital, right? So of course, the details of which probably we can talk about after this question. Maybe we can take this up and quickly talk about what are those things. But that was another thing. And the last scheme, which I think has helped us out, is called the Udyami scheme, right? So what Udyami scheme did was that it allowed startups to take working capital loans, unsecured working capital loans. So unsecured loans are, of course, which don't have a mortgage or an asset back to it. You can take any loans on literally not on anything, right, on paper. And it allowed startups to actually put money behind their working capital, right? A lot of startups, they don't even have cash to survive operations or to do daily work, right? So Udyami scheme helped to actually get working capital loans under that. And it also gave a special incentive to women entrepreneurs that if they want to raise capital, and when I said special incentive to women entrepreneurs, in any company which has a shareholding of 51%, which is held by women, right? So in a majority stake, if it's held by women, they can get additional loans and additional sanctions from the government. That was another two of my schemes which has helped. And probably the third scheme I'll say is the Atal Innovation Mission. If you've heard of it, it's by Niti Aayog. So what it is doing is in schools, it is basically creating entrepreneurship labs, and this is all across the country, where students can tinker, where students can do creative work, they can create projects through, and they are being provided all the technology for it by the government, sponsored by the government. They are being provided robo kits, they are being provided IoT technologies, so they can build their own products, technology products onto it. So these are the three schemes which has probably helped out. Yeah,
Okay. So the next question is, can you talk about the best startup places in India?
got it. So startup till now has been dominated primarily by the metro cities, right? If you look at it that way. So Delhi, Bangalore, Mumbai, they have literally these three have literally been the front runners when it comes to startups. Delhi, proud to say, since I am a Delhiite, Delhi overtook Bangalore last year in the most number of startups. Bangalore was leading right from upfront. Bangalore was leading till now, but Delhi overtook it last year. Mumbai is catching up. Mumbai sees more of fintech startups since it's the financial capital of the country. So more of fintech ecosystem there. Bangalore and Delhi. Bangalore was more of IT, so of course that was there, but now Delhi was more of consumer, because in Delhi you have consumers from different walks of life, right? Because no one is a Delhiite in Delhi. Everyone has come in from different places and settled in Delhi. But now, of course, we are getting like more of the startups are coming from the tier 3, tier 4 towns as well. So cities like Jaipur, cities like Indore, cities like your on the northern side, Chandigarh, they're seeing so many startups coming in on a daily basis. So I see that trend happening where tier 3 and tier 4 would actually surpass tier 1 and tier 2. But for now, Delhi, Bangalore, and Mumbai are the three best places.
Great. So the next question is, how a product-based SaaS business can scale international, what to plan legals and cash flow.
Sure. So this is a very specific question, so I'll just be very quick in answering that. And of course, the next is where you can connect, and as I said, you can view this live because we'll be recording it. So SaaS businesses. Hello. Yeah. Sorry. So Ashna, you can hear me now.
Yes, yes. Yes, now I'm
Sorry.
able to
Yeah. So SaaS businesses. Sorry, I've got a
call. Got it.
hello. Yeah. 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 Sorry.
Yes.
I was just disconnecting a call. So SaaS businesses are software as a service, right? So software businesses can basically scale international, of course. But how to plan is that what's the value add in a software business, right? Let's say you use Microsoft Word. There's a real value attached to it, right? Because you use different products of
Hmm.
Microsoft, right? It saves your time. It does a whole lot of good, right? You have a sense of attachment to it. Uh, so what sort of software are you building? What is the target market again, right? For how Microsoft Word it started out, the target market was working class or was the working professionals, right? And then it grew to a more residential and business oriented perspective. So what's the value add? What's your target market again? How strong is your technology? Because in software businesses, you renew on a daily basis or you renew on an annual basis, right? You buy a software, you let's say you buy the certification of Word for a year, you renew it after a year, right? So why would people renew your company, your business or your product? So that's just something that you have to build at. and what's the price at which, right? The last thing I would say is what's the price of your software, because that's the most difficult aspect. You can't say that Microsoft a word is just worth rupees 499 rupees or 1099 rupees. You have to actually come up and decide that what's the price at which my customers would be comfortable paying it.
Okay. So, how to expand a business from one city to a multitude of cities?
I so wish I could give you a very crisp and clear answer to this. This is the actually the answer that you have to find out for yourself after struggling and striving hard. But there are just a few fundamentals which you have to do right. The one thing, of course, that you have to do is that it's not always about multitude of cities. First of all, right? It's about how each of your city is doing, right? How one of your store is doing. So it gets a very existing business. Is their existing business doing good, or you're just expanding? That is one thing that you need to look at. That do I actually need to expand, or am I doing well? The second thing that you need to look at is that what would be my cities with whom I'm targeting, right? So maybe let's say you open up a store. Let's say you open up a high-end fashion accessory store in some part of Kota, Rajasthan. Probably that's not the right city expansion for you because the target market is not there, right? If you open up it in somewhere in Bangalore and you open it up somewhere in Bombay, maybe that's a much better market for you because the audience is there, right? Who has that capacity to to buy those products. So that is something that you need to look at. And the last thing I would say is that what would be the strategy once you enter into a city? What would you do, right? How would you attract a new customers, right? Let's say you go to Hyderabad. You don't have any knowledge about what customers want in Hyderabad. What are the hot selling spots in Hyderabad, right? What are the places where the audience gathers the most? And what's the culture in Hyderabad as well, right? Every city has a different culture, right? Every city has a different nightlife. Every city has a different culture. So, what's the culture of that city, and how will you enter into it, right? How will you? What's your existing customers there? What are the existing brands there, and how will you try to create your own niche? These are the three, four things you need to look at once when you are expanding into a new city.
Okay. What is the future of print media business?
I guess that's something which has clearly been told to you after lockdown. I guess that's pretty clear. What's the future going ahead towards? But I understand your question. Where is it coming from? I guess a part of it is coming from that everything is going digital, and how do you see print media doing, right? So I see it, of course, going towards downhill. Anything print, like not just print media. Let's say books as well, physical books as well, right? Or print media, or anything, of course, which is being replaced by technology. Everything is going towards downhill because the culture is changing, right? Now people are buying more of Kindle and people are not reading physical books. Although I love physical books because
I
the touch
even
of the
I do.
pages, yeah, the touch of the pages and the smell is something that does not come in a Kindle, right? So, and similarly with print media, as in once I get a newspaper at my home, I have a cup of tea alongside it, and I read that pages, and I fold. The best part about it is folding all of that into small pockets, right? Once you go through multiple pages, for me that feeling is irreplaceable. But unfortunately, it's not just you, me. There are tons of people, of course, who have become so fast in their life that they want to read everything on the go. So yeah, for that, print media is going towards a downhill. But yes, for people, of course, who love print media, I guess I don't see them changing. But yes, as a total business, it's going towards the downhill because that's where the culture is shifting towards. Yeah.
So guys, don't put it on the add a comment section. You can ask the questions through Q&A. It would be better for me to ask him as well. So the
Definitely.
next question is, what should be the first step in startup for a college student? I really believe in my idea. It has.
Okay. So again, the first step in any startup is firstly understanding the problem, right? A lot of us where we go wrong is that we just try to build a solution without actually understanding the problem, right? Let's say I want to build I want to build a restaurant which serves the best kind of food, right? But that's my thing, right? As per me, it's the
Hmm.
best kind of, or even if it's the best kind of food, what's the problem actually, right? How startups become big is they are solving one particular problem. Even let's say I am at a lavish place where I have so many restaurants which are high selling around me. I serve the best of the food. Will I become big? I'm not sure, right? Even if I have the best of foods. So what I have to look at is what's the problem I'm trying to solve, right? And it starts very simple. Let's say Uber was not the first company which started cabs, right? Let's be honest. But the
Hmm.
problem Uber solved was that it was the first company to offer location-based pickups, right? You can enter your GPS and you can get your cab at your doorstep. Earlier, before that, you had to go to taxi stands, you had to go outside, and you had to take an auto or whatever it is, or take a cab by going to the taxi stand. So that was the problem they were solving, right? Convenience based pickups, convenient, right? So startups first identify what's the problem that we are trying to solve, how big is that problem, right? And how daily is that problem. Let's say I'm solving a problem, I'm providing the best umbrellas, right? And I'm saying that it's a very big problem. It is, but is it a problem which is there 365 days a year? Maybe not, right? Because umbrellas only come in the monsoon season, right? A lot of people don't use it beyond monsoon season. So I have to pick up that how repetitive is my problem, how big it can be, then document all of it, right? Where college students specifically go wrong is in their mind, right? They believe everything is best. If we have all sorted out well, we'll just get funds. We just need funds, and sir, we triple or like quadruple your money. And I get so many DMs like that on a daily basis. Just give me money, and I'll make your money 4 times, right? And I say to them, do you know what's the return of BSc in the last 10 years? And you're saying you can make my money 4 times in the next 6 months, right? So that's the point, right? You need to identify that, document all of it down, and actually show that you are doing it. So it's not just idea, it's execution. That on the ground, are you doing it actually, or are you just a man or a woman of words, right? So that is you have to figure out. So step number one, find out the problem, list out how big that problem is and repetitive that is. Second is document all of it at one place and put what all you can. Talk to people, consult with people who've been there, done that, and then take it ahead, right? Just don't take it ahead that I believe my idea is the best and let me take it ahead, right?
Okay. So the next one is, what's the next best thing you can in food tech? Where is the FMP heading to?
Seriously, if I knew the best next thing to do in food tech, I would have done it myself. but
Exactly.
but again, there's so much you can do, right? In food tech, food is a problem where more than half of the country, half of the people in India, the population, still sleeps without having food in the night, right? So there is still a lot you can do in food tech, right? You can reach out to people, you can connect to the last mile. Again, the problem in India is the last mile in every sector, right? That how can I reach to the last person at the last place, right? How can I reach to him or her? So of course, that is where you are headed towards. Food is not just about getting the best discounts. A lot of people just eat discounts and it becomes a price war, right? So it's not just about price war. It's actually a thing wherein you're providing value at convenience, right? And that value at convenience principle should reach out to people who don't get access to 2 square meals a day. And that is where we are headed towards. To make food, we are a democratic country, at least in principle. So to make food, also democratize food and make it reach to all. That's one thing I guess where it's all headed towards.
Okay. That was a great explanation. What type of startup pitches are a turn off for you? Please say my name too. Thanks. Hi Lakshya. Who's taken your name?
Hi Lakshay, how are you? No, actually I know Lakshay, of course, from an event. So hi
Oh,
Lakshay. Yeah, that's why I said he please say my name too. Lakshay, startup pitches like I'll like make my money 4 times in the next 6 months. That's the one very big off. You are an economist yourself. You know how in principle that's actually practically impossible. And people who make very emotional pitches. As in, I know, of course, everyone needs money at the end of the day, but people who try to just put every emotion behind it, that I want. That's something, of course, that's very hilarious, right? People every day, I open up my LinkedIn and on my messages, people are like, "My this is not well, that is not well. Please give me money." And like, I know, of course, some of the cases are true as well. But to read it on an everyday basis, sometimes I feel like I'm working in a Dharma production movie and not an angel investor.
These type of replies are so cliche, man. I mean, he was
Yeah.
the one who asked you this.
Yes, there are a lot of people. I mean, on daily basis, I get this, right? People who are
No,
saying that I want
okay.
money. I even have forgotten the names of people because there's so many. This
I
and the
agree.
second thing that I'm actually worried about is people asking on DMs, what do you actually do, right?
Seriously, man.
uh,
Would you invest in my startup that will generate
that's the kind of
approximate to 3 to 5 lakh a month? Aditya, would you invest in this company?
just you can even put your bank account details here. I'll just make make the transaction, and I'll also ask Ashna to tag along. Yeah, but again, see, not I'm not going into the technical of your question, but that's the worst pitch. Why are you fixating yourself to 3 to 5 lakhs a month? That's just 60 lakhs a month, right? Even if I'm investing 5 lakhs, you'll burn off my all of my capital in just 1 month, technically. So that's the wrong pitch to come. Never just say that it's generating profit or prox 5 lakhs a month. That's the worst idea to pitch.
What do you think of startups like crypto exchanges? Like, since the crypto is getting banned, like there are news coming out. So, what are your views on that?
Yeah, I have not been a very strong investor in crypto. I have shied away from crypto investments just because of irregularities, and I have not been able to understand crypto at all. Yeah, matlab, there's a thing called Dogecoin. I don't know, and it soared 6x value. It went from 1.5 rupees to almost 7 rupees in just 24 hours. I, I don't understand this kind of thing. Yeah, matlab, how does it work? And I stay away. But yes, it's coming up. I guess, and Ashna, of course, you would know much better on it because you create content around this. I guess crypto is still not banned. The
Yes.
exchange, the maintenance of crypto is what that banned, right? Wherein, of course, crypto used to like secure a transaction on either sides. That's what was banned initially by. That is one thing that should be clear in your mind. Crypto was never banned. That's something I guess Anushka also spoke about. That crypto was never banned, but what was banned was that RBI or let's say government authorities, they can't take crypto as a form of instrument or as a form of exchange in that transaction,
Yeah.
right? So crypto can never be banned, right? Because it's based on a very secure technology and everything is very secure, right? But the application, the maintenance of it is something that has to sort of just come in. And not the best person to comment on that, but yeah, I see that happening. Maybe somewhere on the line, I see that happening. But your question on exchanges, crypto exchanges in India, of course, they've come up. So I know this platform called WazirX, which is one of the leading crypto exchange platform in India. I haven't done much research. I haven't invested in one crypto startup as well. Although this reminds me, I have a call with a crypto startup on Monday. But yeah, in India, it's still a nascent market, and I guess some clarity needs to come over it. So, crypto, and second thing is called gaming, right? You did not ask this, but I'll tell you, Ashna, this is something. This is again not clear. So, people play a lot of games in India, but there's a concept of real money gaming, right? Wherein you put money and you do gaming real time.
Yeah.
Again, still not clear whether it's actually legal in India or not, right? And that was one of the major reasons why of course PUBG was banned due to political reasons as well, but also one of the major reasons because school kids are being bribed into playing these games. They put 500,000 rupees on a daily basis playing these games, right? And you don't know who the actual person is whom you are giving the money to. So that kind of money can be utilized for anything. So real money gaming
Hmm.
is also, along with crypto, a very, very wide space, which again needs to be sorted out very well. And this kind of money, you never know what kind of how it is being utilized by whom, right? Because all the money goes to a server, both in crypto and in
Exactly.
on in gaming. You do it goes to an unidentified server. No matter how much times you try and trace it, the location keeps on changing every time, right? Because people use VPN, people use various kinds of technology. It keeps on changing every time. So yeah, I don't know. Still, these two are the sectors I've literally shied away from investing in. Yeah,
So I guess that's all questions that we are going to take today. And what is the last advice that you would like to give the audience?
sure. Thank you, guys. I guess the first and the most hilarious piece of advice is never ask like this on, of course, your investment pitches like these. Be empathetic to the other person as well. That is one
Hmm.
thing. I guess startups are still a very wide space. Still, that adoption needs to happen, but it's a growing thing. Sooner or later, no matter how much times you deny, startups are going to rule the world. That's one thing for sure, right? And the change is already happening. The simple change I talk about is in IPL. Till last years, all of the companies investing in IPL were companies like Vivo, were companies like Pepsi, were companies like DLF, right? All the big companies in the world. You pick up last year's IPL and you find names like Dream 11, you find names like Cred, you find names like Farm Easy, right? So these are all startups which have come up and built things from scratch, right? So you see startups are going to rule the world, come sooner or may. The shift has to happen, and you also take some risk, guys. As in, if you don't take risk and try to become an entrepreneur, you never know if you can be one, right? And that's how I figured out for myself. I took a risk. I went to the best of the colleges, literally did not take placement, did not go for MBA. I had the best. In fact, I had a score on MBA. I had a score which would get me any good college in the world. But I dropped it out at the last moment. I did not submit my application, and that's where I'm here. I wanted to continue my journey. So you never know where your life would be headed towards. But yeah, keep going and do watch our live as well. And that's pretty much about it. And guess Ashna, you can save the live as well, and I guess we can derive real
Sure.
value out of it. Thanks.
Exactly. So it was very nice having you. We had a very insightful and very helpful conversation today. So thank you so much for coming, and I hope that we do another live soon.
Definitely, definitely. Look forward to always doing that, Ashna, and all the best in your venture as well. We'll work that out
Thank
together,
you
and
so
of
much.
course, all the best
Yes,
in your
yes,
venture.
sure. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Ashna.
Bye bye, Aditya.
Bye, bye.
So, yes, guys, that was it. I hope you all liked it. And I'll see you in my next one. I'll maybe do a live again on next Sunday. So, I'll see you then. Till then, bye.